listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin. To master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Once you walked in a forest of splendor in which everything you did and everything you thought was aligned. It is possible at this time to begin to return to the old knowledge. Intuitive healer and manifestor Julia Griffin is here to talk about this unique time in history when all sentient beings, animals, plants, trees, and the earth are intent on creating this change. The wolves awakened her to the most incredible light, which opened gifts and brought knowledge that she longs to share. You are creators, and you are born to be creators of beauty, possibility, and joy. Join Julia on a journey into a beautiful and magical world where amazing possibilities exist. Let us help open the door. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening with Julia Griffin starts right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin at onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com. And I want to welcome you to my show, The Power of Inspiration and Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour and let us help you experience a higher vibration and a new state of mind. For those of you who are not familiar with me, I awakened with real wolves. When I met a wolf, it talked to me the same way that I'm talking now. It was audible. And they taught me to read the energy of the heart, people, plants, and animals. I became an intuitive healer and a writer as a result. So let me tell you about today's guest, Corina Angela Wynn. Corina Angela Wynn is a best-selling author of Transference, Connect to Your Soul Self, who takes you on an epic journey and a step-by-step process of how she met and connected with Edgar Cayce, the 20th century psychic, and his devout working partner, Gladys Davis Turner, in 2019 while in deep meditation. Her life-changing book explores 44 different subjects, 44 entries, ranging from helping children with autism to connecting to higher vibrations in the higher self. It offers self-discovery exercises so you can raise your conscious awareness, self-healing techniques, and as well, methods of learning how to connect and become your soul self. She combines 45 years of personal and professional experiences as a case study enthusiast of ESP, PSI phenomena, healing, neuroplasticity, IDD, intellectual and development disabilities. With a myriad of certification, she seeks to expand conscious awareness and help others how to trust themselves and know that anything is possible. So welcome, Corina. It's so nice to have you here today.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to have you here. So what inspired you to write Transference, Connect to Your Soul Self? And how did you connect with Edgar Cayce and Gladys Davis Turner?
Yeah. Oh, wonderful question. Thank you. In 2019, it feels like forever, but 2019, I was in a deep meditation and Edgar Cayce popped up, and I'm very clairvoyant. So I saw him as a younger version of himself in his 30s. And I was a little taken back because I didn't know who this person was. I didn't have a background of Edgar Cayce's readings or information or books, or I didn't have a family that studied him or any of those things. So I really questioned, like, who is this person? He goes, "Hi, I'm Edgar." I'm like, okay, and I had no reference point. I had nothing to grab onto of who this person was. So I was a little, again, taken back. And he said, "Well, I'm Edgar Cayce." Still, I was like, deer in a headlight. Yeah. And he was almost quite pleased with it because he was watching me react and really focusing in on my energy. And I was, So we started having a dialogue. Long story short, he asked me to write these books. And it took a while for me to say yes. But when I finally said yes, then the journey actually began. So
Yeah, that's very cool. I know what you're saying because when I first heard a wolf, I was like,
Yeah.
I couldn't have heard that. And they were like, yes, you did. We can talk.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
funny what our ego does. It goes into like it starts questioning, and you have all these thoughts and blah blah blah. It's like, oh, what is this? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it is.
didn't realize at the time that
Yeah,
animals could speak quite clearly, but particularly wild ones do talk in depth and share a
yeah,
great deal of information.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
so as time passed, how did they begin to feel to you? Because I know the wolves became like very deep friends to me that I trusted completely.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the book, so it's a step-by-step process of my own personal process of what I was going through because this was completely new to me. I had been channel writing, automatically writing for many, many years since I was 7. But I did this process of actually creating this book was a step-by-step by Edgar's energy and Gladys and them telling me, sharing all this information with me and a step-by-step how to create the book, the entries, the start and the stop time, and what the entries were going to be called, all of these things. So it was just me trusting deeply every day because I would go in every day and connect in with them. So it was this process of this evolution within myself of really deeply understanding, trusting what I was listening to, what I was hearing, what I was viscerally feeling inside my body. And it was
Yeah,
trusting
the impression
everything.
I got from that was, it was a journal and it was an experiment and it was something with self-discovery. And
Yeah.
about 60 or 70% of the way into the book, I could see that you would really come on into your own.
Yes. Yeah, because in the beginning, I'm like, what is this? And I'm questioning still, and I'm in my ego, and I'm having to go through all of these steps to get to where, I was going. And unbeknownst to me, I had no idea in the beginning. I mean, when it all began, it was just so to answer your question, it was building this beautiful relationship with them, getting to know them, and getting to know Edgar's energy and getting to know Gladys's energy, and it was just such an incredible, beautiful experience. It was just, yeah, it was just.
Well, I knew at a certain level of awakening, particularly in the beginning, we
Hmm.
know from all the many, many writings that you get a guide or a teacher.
Yeah.
And we both got sort of unexpected guides.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it was funny because, and this is in the book as well. It's like, well, why me? And he's like, well, why not you? I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. So they're with you all along. And Edgar actually, because I asked him that question because there's a lot of side, because everything is handwritten, and as I automatically write, all handwritten in my notebook, so I can go back and reference because everything's verbatim. Whatever's in the book is verbatim, so I can go back and go, oh yeah. But there was a lot of side information of my own deeper personal process of asking him questions like, yeah, why me? Why is this happening? And he would actually take me back into a regression, and he showed me when I was 5 in the barn sleeping with a calf. And I hadn't, and I grew up on my grandparents' farm. I hadn't thought about that memory. And I mean, I'm 54, and this happened when I was 5. I hadn't thought about that memory for a very, very long time. And he goes, I was there with you, and I could literally see, myself as 5 years old, and he's taking me back and he's watching me. He's just with me. So he had been with me forever, he had been with me. He
I
had
think
been,
that's true with
you know,
guides because I
yeah.
realized after a few years that those same wolves had reincarnated
Right,
with me for
right.
several
Yes.
lifetimes.
So they're with you for a very long time, the duration of your lifetime. When you
Hmm.
when you come in, you're birthed, they're there. But it takes you, this process of connecting with, and when it's time, when you're open, when there's, it's
When
just
you're ready
divinely
for it.
orchestrated. Yeah, yeah.
When you're ready for it. Okay, so
Yep.
for the people who are not incredibly familiar with Edgar Cayce, I
Yeah.
did study him for a while, but it's been
Hmm.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
They called him the sleeping prophet because he would go into a trance and channel all
Yes.
this information for people that helped with
Yes.
healing. Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when he was younger, in his younger years, he would just see things and know things, and he was just, wired that way. He came in that way, right? And his first inclination, he really wanted to help children, and as he went along his path, he was so open and so clairvoyant, and then he started going into these trances and picking up all this information, right? Just, well,
Mhm.
they call it download, but just receiving this information, not knowing how. But he was in this very deep trance. So that's why they called him the sleeping prophet, because he would, just rattle off all this amazing information, not knowing where it, came from. And
Was
then,
he was he aware when he was doing that, or was he in a
no,
trance? That's
no,
what I
he
couldn't
was.
remember.
Yeah, he was completely out. But I think over time, bits and pieces would come in. And, he would, through this process too, he would show me how he received. And it was just miraculous. It's like, oh, okay. And, there's some things that you do remember and some things you don't need to remember, because when you start to remember everything, it's complete overload. And for your body, it's physically not good.
Mhm.
So,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I can have a session with someone, and years later they come
yeah,
back, and my soul remembers the main
yes.
things, but not the details.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So he went on to help. It was like 22,000 readings, and then
Hmm.
he did over 14,000 readings for over 6,000 people, of helping them with health issues and, ailments and past life regression and, prophecies, everything. I mean, it was
I
just,
think that's the part that I read were the
yeah.
parts about the health. I think that's more
Yeah.
accessible than a lot of his other readings.
Yes, because he helped so many people. He really did, and I just think it's just fascinating, just phenomenal work. And his legacy is just, to keep it going and keep it going, because his work was just, yeah, phenomenal,
Now,
phenomenal.
who is Gladys Davis Turner? Because I
Mhm.
was not familiar with her until I read your book.
Neither was I. When I met her, I was like, what? When I connected in with her. So he brought her in, as a teenager, they knew each other and were around each other, and she pretty much grew up, within his family. And then when she got older, she was very, inquisitive of, what is this work? And, she became very interested in it. And so, as their life went on, she started taking notes, and when he'd be in the trance, and she would start taking notes, and then later on became his secretary, and then they started ARE, and I mean, it just went on and on and on. And then when he died in 1945, she continued his legacy and with ARE and
Okay, so for people who don't know, tell them what ARE is.
oh yeah, let's see. So here I wanted to read something real quick, but I can't find it. It's the foundation. I think it was night here. I have notes. Let's see, because I want to be accurate with the
But it
notes.
is a
Okay,
society that
19.
collects and
Yes.
and puts out his teachings for people who want more and want to get
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes. Well, so let's see. I think it was 1931. It was created, and they both created it together. And then when he died in 1945, that's when she continued his work. And ARE, yeah, 1931. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm right and left brain. I'm like, I have to get the accurate date. So 1931, which continues to promote his teachings and research related to holistic health and spirituality. So it's still up and running now for spiritual development. They have tons of classes, and it's called the
Products too, I
Association for
think.
Research and Enlightenment. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's something that people can actually go visit in the physical if
Oh,
you
yes.
suddenly
And it's
have a
in
really,
Virginia. Yeah. And
yeah.
people go there to, visit and take classes. And yeah. It's still
Hmm.
up and running, which I love. And I think it's fantastic. So it's wonderful
Yeah. And some of
resource.
those products are still even in health food stores if you want
Hmm.
to find them.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Hmm.
Okay, so one thing I'm really interested in, let's talk about some of the practical advice and then go back into some of the mysticism of your
Hmm.
connection with him.
Hmm.
You wrote a lot about autism. So why don't
Yes.
you tell us some of the things that you learned about helping with autism because so many children have it now for whatever reason?
Yeah. So what had been starting to come up, that came in a lot and just through the writings and then in the book and then the exercises in particular. There's one in particular that really just struck my heart center. It was like, whew. They showed me him. And when I say they, and when I reference Edgar, Gladys is always there. So it's like we're a trine. We're all three a team. But when I reference Edgar, I'm meaning Gladys as well. Edgar and Gladys showed me this horse exercise of how it can ground, working with horse. And this is back in, 2019. And working with horses, the power of the horses, of the grounding mechanism that they have around just their their field is so healing for, autistic children in particular, and their soul is connected. They're just incredibly connected. So I was seeing all of this, and watching it and writing about it. And then when this exercise came in, it just made such sense to me. And then myself, I started working with horses physically, and I could feel their energy and
Yeah, I've ridden
so
since I was like 3 or 4 years old. So yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you can just feel it. So it's just so grounding for the stability with it, because autistic, you're all over, the brain is just kind of everywhere and thinking super fast. And it's almost like this calming mechanism that
Well, they also
happens.
say the motion of the horses and what it does to your spine and
Yes.
riding on horses that have different gaits
Hmm.
changes your spine and your connection to your brain. And I
Yes.
do know for the autistic children that I've worked with,
Yeah.
I can tell when they're riding and when they're not by their posture and where their head is.
Yes, yes. It's amazing when you experience it for yourself, and I'm so happy you experienced that because I trained to be a horse walker, and so we would have autistic children come in and ride, and I'd
Mhm.
be
So,
along with
so
them.
you've seen it.
I've seen it firsthand. So this is what started happening too. These exercises would come in so strong, and I would just write them down, and I could viscerally feel them. But then these openings, these doors would open, and I would find myself, okay, now I'm a horse walker. So it was just this really interesting process but it made sense to me because I had to experience it for myself to connect the
Well,
dots and merge it together.
I think when you grow as a person on a spiritual level,
Mhm.
whatever you're curious about, your reality changes and expands to take you there.
Yes. Yeah. Perfectly said. That's
Yeah.
so true. Because you have to embody it, right?
Yeah.
You have to acknowledge it, you have to integrate it, but then you embody it.
Yeah.
And when you see it firsthand and you see the spine become erect and you can see that autistic child just connect in with the horse and become so happy. I mean, their energy, I mean, it's just wild, and
Right.
yeah. So yeah, you understand.
And that was interesting to me. Another thing that you talked about was the Bindu, which for those of you
Mm,
who are not familiar with it, we would draw a huge circle and put a dot in the middle. If you're
yeah,
using the Hindu exercise, you're the dot in the middle of the universe, and the entire universe is flowing into you from
yeah,
360 degrees.
yeah.
Now, since I had children who didn't sleep, I thought this was fascinating.
Mm,
You
hmm.
said they could draw it you can draw it on a child's head and it will help them sleep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can do that. And also just the physical part of it, to feel it, and do
Mhm.
that. It's just wild. It's
Or you
amazing.
can make it so it's out there, like
Yeah.
you're in a great central sun and it's
Yes.
flooding into your physical, emotional, mental,
You
and
know,
spiritual
yep.
body.
And so what I've noticed too throughout the years, because I still reference this book all the time and I'm opening up and these exercise, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like it's almost like the exercise is here, and then if you work more and more with groups or other people or some people now are buying my book and they're utilizing it in their practice for their clients, so they're utilizing these teachings and these exercises, and they're taking it deeper and deeper and
Well,
deeper.
I started working with a Bindu about 10 or 15 years
Yeah.
ago because no
Yeah.
matter what I did, it kept coming up. You know, it
Yeah.
would be in an
Interesting.
email, it would be in what I was reading. I was
Yeah.
studying yoga a lot, so it probably was coming up that way too.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's how I decided to integrate that into
I
class.
love that.
And I think
Yeah.
for anyone who wants to learn, all right, you just heard about the Bindu.
Yeah.
Find one, print it out, work with it, see where it
Yes.
takes you.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. No, I love that. Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay, and then you said that this is in the first part of the book, so you may change what you think about this now
Mhm.
by now. But he spoke of most health problems as being associated with waste in the body.
Toxicity. So built up toxicity. Absolutely. And trauma. So a lot at trauma and toxicity, even supplements. So I'm having clients now and clients in the past that, we all, oh, supplements, supplements, supplements. But there's a point where your body says, okay, no more, and you have to actually detoxify from the amazing supplements that you've been taking for years, right? And
Well, I take a
so
lot of them, but sometimes when I pick up the bottles, I'll hear, no, not today.
exactly. Yes. You have to really, yeah, focus in or even hold them. You can do kinesiology on yourself and, hold the bottle. Like, is this good? If you go forward, it's a yes. If it's back, it's a no,
And if
you
I
know?
know if I need it, I keep
Yeah.
hearing, you didn't take the ones
Yes.
you usually take before breakfast. You need to
Yep.
go take those. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's a built up. And that's with everything, really. I mean, if
I
you eat
know.
too much of whatever that food is, I mean, that's not going to
I
be
mean, it
good
can
for your
still be a
body.
perfect diet and you start
Yeah.
eating every day and repeat it. Your body gets so it doesn't like it.
Oh, 100%. I used to love, love, love bananas. I mean, all the time. And now I only could have a half a banana. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm down to no bananas. I just save the skins to put in water before I pour it in the garden.
Yeah.
I did the same thing, but I used to
Yeah.
adore them. It changes.
Yeah.
And I really think
100%.
that's part of growth is accepting that something will change.
Yeah.
It may come back or it may not. We don't know.
True.
It's the mystery of it.
It
And with
is.
everything that's changing so much right now in the cosmos,
Yeah. Oh
it's
gosh,
really
yes.
important to say, okay, I don't like that anymore. That's cool.
Yeah.
Just go
Yeah.
on.
Well, to have that flexibility, listening and have that flexibility and listening to your body. What is your body telling you? And just really focusing in on that. And it's okay to change. Everything things change every second, we're
Any
evolving every second.
methods of clearing or cleansing the body that you want to tell us about?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Any methods of cleansing or
Mhm.
clearing the body that you want to share?
Yeah. So energetically, I mean, little exercises that are so helpful is just, shaking off energy. If you go to the grocery store, you get in your car, shake it off, because we're all energy, right? We're picking up energy left, right, center, and really focusing in on that. If you're feeling really tense for no reason, that's not your energy. If you feel all of a sudden angry, that's not your energy. It
Or
doesn't come
tired?
in in a second. Where did that come from? Somebody said something to you, sure, but that energy is coming towards you when moments before you were super happy. So it's being cognizant, but shaking off energy is just really easy to do. Detoxing, any detox supplements that you can take, 5 days, 7 days, fasting. There's a plethora of things you can do, but also too, it's not one shirt fits all. It's like listen to what does your body need? What do I need to do for myself right here, right now to make
That's the hard part of the moment is that
yeah,
everything is changing. Like I had
yeah,
like 6 months that if
yeah.
I only had raw juice for one day every week, I would just feel fabulous and then it
Yep.
stopped working. So
Yes.
I'm like,
Yep.
okay, now it's something else.
Hmm. Hmm. But in that, what you just said, I think is fascinating. That's exciting. I mean, I think it's really exciting because it's like it's not the same old, and I can't stand that expression because it's like every day is a new day. Every moment is new. So I think it's exciting that things are changing more and more rapidly as we go and as we're discovering and self-discovery, all of that. I just find it fascinating. It's just like,
I do too. So if any of you have experienced this, go with the flow. Don't
yeah,
keep drinking the raw juice and hoping it's going to
yeah,
make you feel better, because it will make you feel terrible.
true. So true. So true. Yep.
We're
Yep.
about to go to break, but when we
Mhm.
come back, you had some wonderful things that I thought that you said about the chakras.
Mhm.
And I loved what you had to say about the heart. I don't
Mm.
think I've read exactly that anywhere. And
Mhm.
I thought maybe you can do that and share a few more exercises with us. But before we go, I want to ask you this. You
Yeah.
wrote that physical exercise helps the brain. Can you tell
Mhm.
us really briefly how that works before we go to break?
Physical exercise,
Uh-huh.
movement. I mean, anything that is moving the body, walking, running, jumping. I mean, everything, movement within the body, the flow, the body is meant to flow. The body is meant to move. So even if you have a day job and you're sitting down, it's move your body, move your body. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're getting ready to go to break. I've been talking with Corina Angela Wynn about her book, Transference, Connect to Your Soul Self. It's her journal of communication with Edgar Cayce. It has a lot of healing methods, a lot of meditation methods, and she shares a lot of wisdom that she gained. So we'll be right back. Stay with us. Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Griffin, and you're listening to the Power of Inspiration Awakening on Transformation Talk Radio. I'm here with my guest, Corina Angela Wynn. She's discussing her book, Transference, Connect to Your Soul Self, which is a story about how she met Edgar Cayce as a guide, and he shared his wisdom and teachings with her. And the book is full of exercises and all kinds of different information that you can use. We're going to talk right now about what Edgar Cayce told her about the heart space and how you can connect with your heart space.
Hmm. Yes. So, heart and mind coherence is really connecting in with your mind, clearing all the clutter, the monkey chatter, all of those things. And there's step-by-step processes in this book in order to do those things. But when you get there and you clear, you can really dive into the heart because the heart is the portal to go anywhere, right? But the heart is everything. So it's really when you're going deep down into your heart and even feel like physically feeling your heart, holding your heart, asking your heart, what do I need to know? It will start answering you. And it's
Mhm.
just so brilliant that, we can touch our hearts, we can feel it. And even listening to the sound of your heartbeat, you know, feeling your breath in and out. I mean, it's very visceral when you start really deep diving into these exercises and these processes. I mean,
I think
you
you had
can't,
that you
yeah.
close your ears and listen to your heart. Yeah.
Yes. So it's almost like, when you hear a conch shell and you put up a shell to your ear and you can hear the ocean, it's the same effect. So if you put your palms on your ears, I mean, it's a different world. It's like, scuba
And
diving.
then you have people who are doing the exercise listen to the pulse in different places
Yes.
in their body.
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
might listen to it in your wrist. Actually, you had some other location, but I heard it in my wrist.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's up to you to determine, decipher where. And that's really honing in your skills, your abilities, and really honing in on where do I sense it? Where can I hear it? Can I really hear it? So you're questioning yourself. But as you're questioning yourself, you're honing in. And it's just, the way the exercises are designed and how they came in, it's just amazing. It's just
So
really.
one thing that she writes about, she's absolutely correct, is that your heart has this huge effect on your etheric life, your spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's well known in metaphysics that at some point you stop listening to your mind and you start
Yes.
listening to your heart.
Yes.
And if you do that long enough, your heart and your mind become connected.
Mm-hmm.
But what I tell my students is If you catch yourself thinking about someone and what they should do, stop it. Change to your heart and send them heart energy and watch your relationship improve. If you have an intuition and you're not sure if it's correct or incorrect, see if you can hear it in your heart. If you can't, then it's just a thought. Let it go. See what comes back.
Yep. Perfect. I love that. And it's true. It's so true. I mean, you can test it out on yourself. Do that, just really focus in and do it. I mean, your heart can register something before, set what, 7 seconds before your mind registers it. So that your heart's already out in the etheric field already. So it'll pick up first, and then your mind interprets what you're, feeling or sensing or all of those things. And when you practice this on a day-to-day basis, it widens and gets longer. And I mean, you can blow it way out, more than 7
And it
seconds.
starts giving you tremendous amount of information. And it's good to
100%.
ask things that
Absolutely.
casually, like I asked, one of my neighbors have that huge box on their front porch. What's in there? And I heard immediately it's cat food. And so then I walk down the street and look, and yeah, it's from Chewy.
See,
Yeah, it just starts to
but
fill
that's the thing.
in
It's like, how
everything.
open were you? You were open to receive. You're open with your body, and you're not second guessing what you're hearing and what you're sensing. And that's where, the mind and heart is coherent. You're really
Right.
aligned because you're not self-questioning yourself. You're not questioning, or that
No, and
hesitation.
it didn't matter if I didn't have the right answer, or if
Yeah,
I ever
doesn't
even
matter.
knew.
Yep, yep.
But I
It
but I
doesn't matter.
knew with the clarity, because I could see the cans of cat food, that had to be right, because it wasn't what
Right.
I was thinking of.
Yeah,
And
I love it. Yep, it's
I think you're
amazing.
saying that a lot in your
Hmm.
work. Another
Yes.
thing that I really
Mhm.
liked about your book is with your journaling. You talk about how often we can feel disconnected even when we've decided to do spiritual work every day
Oh,
and
yeah.
meditate and receive messages. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
that we're going to wake up and start feeling wonderful.
No, it's not a cakewalk. I tell this to a lot of my clients as well as students and friends. But it's not a cakewalk. Everybody think, oh, it's so woo woo and fun. No, no, no. It's, it's hard. It's hard work. It really is. But it's honoring yourself that much to do the work, to do the everyday, it's like if you're training for a marathon, you're going to have some down days. You're going to have some days that you just don't want to get out of bed. And do you do it anyways? Absolutely. Because you're devoted to yourself. You're devoted to the work. You're devoted to your self-discovery. And it's the ripple effect, and that just, you gain more um, compassion for yourself and compassion for other people, and you are more and more committed as you keep going. But it's not a cakewalk. It's not one day you're just going to wake up and everything's roses. No, no. But
Mm-mm.
and that's the part
That
too. Honor it.
that's part of the
Absolutely.
transformation, is
Yeah.
realizing that you can go on and you can go deeper,
Yep.
even when it's the very last thing you feel like doing and you think it's not going to work.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Because then you have that reference point, it's like,
Hmm.
oh, now I'm over here. Wow, I was over there, and then it's like, yes. And it's empowering. You go through the muck, you go through the mud, you go through the not the great things, and to get to the other side. And then when you get to the other side, it's like, yeah. And still, when you're on the other side, you get still more stuff.
Yeah.
So
There's still so far to go on
it's,
the other side, but it's a relief
yeah.
to get there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Okay,
it's a process, everyday process. Yeah.
so one interesting question that you asked Edgar Cayce was, why do people not want to see their true self?
I love that. So yeah, I asked him that, and it's almost like that resistance of, we don't want to know the truth. We don't want to know how amazing we are, And why is that? It's from our upbringing. It's from XYZ. But in the core of it, it's like, you know, wow, am I that amazing? It's just like, stop the resistance. We don't need to resist anymore. And I think this whole process of, opening up more and more, doing these exercises, doing any exercises, being on
Hmm.
this path, evolving consciousness, expanding our consciousness. That's what it's all about, to
Well,
see how
there comes a point when that becomes more important. Like even
Mhm.
if you're having a terrible day, which
Yep.
my children were pretty small when I started doing this, I would go like, okay, I'm not going to wash dishes or vacuum. I'm going to sit here until I get this done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or I won't see my friends this week. I'll work on this because I'm
Mm-hmm.
stuck here. I'll keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's a personal choice, right? You
Right.
get to choose. You have the power to choose to do it or not to do it, And it's still the beautiful thing, it's still there,
I know
It
it's not
doesn't go
going
anywhere.
anywhere. It's waiting for you to catch up on it.
It doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you can resist all you want and then, you turn a corner, oh, it's still there.
Yeah.
So
So give us some clues about what you do with resistance because everyone has that sometimes.
So I have my own personal process that because I'm stubborn, I can be stubborn and not want to do
There is
certain
no one
things.
on the spiritual
Yeah,
path who is
right. I
not
mean, it's
intensely stubborn or you wouldn't get there.
exactly. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. Resist, resist, resist. But what you start finding is the more you resist, it persists, right? It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then more things start coming into your life like, hello, hello, hello. First it's a little tap on the door. Then it's like a really, big knock. And then it's a huge knock. It's like, oh, okay. And then you deep dive
Or things
into it.
start going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
All the things that were
Yes.
moving in the right direction start to go in the
Yes.
opposite
Yeah,
direction and you'll
because
hear
you're
things.
losing that momentum, right? When
Exactly.
you're in the flow, it's so easy. It's super easy. Why? Because you're in the flow. The
Yeah.
momentum is there. The energy is
It
there.
starts to carry you,
Yeah.
which I think
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest reason of wanting to do this work is that the flow carries you and all these pretty much miraculous things start to become sort of
Yes.
commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start going in the other direction, it's like, let's say your washer has a knob that's slightly broken. Mine is not, so I'm safe saying this. But you can think about it and you can say, I want the washer to turn on. You punch it, it comes on. Well,
Yeah.
when you're going down in the momentum, it's like it's clear you're going to have to call somebody to fix it. It's not going to respond anymore.
Yep. Yeah. You're going against the tide, right? You're
Yeah.
going, upstream instead of downstream,
Hmm.
but who does that? We do it to
We
ourselves.
all
We
do
are the
it.
ones that do it.
Yeah, we all do it.
Yep.
And that's normal. I think years ago, who was it? I interviewed Golden Eagle, and he was saying the thing that he said about white men. He said, you're so screwed up. He said, do you think you can walk straight up the mountain? But he said, Native Americans know you have to take two steps back, one forward, one left, one to the right. It's a dance. You can't go straight up the
Mm.
mountain.
True. So, I love that. It is a dance. It's a dance of life. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
sometimes you just have to say, I'm tired of the resistance. I've got to
Hmm.
change. I can't help it. I can't
Yes.
go on like this.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, you hit your own threshold,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
enough is, and then that's when you say enough is enough. My mom used to say, I've had it up to here. And then the next day it was like, oh,
Yeah,
And I remember that, growing up as a child, I'm like, oh, now I really get it. And I have four
yeah,
kids. I'm like, I get it. Okay,
yeah.
I really understand it now. But even in a broader sense, yeah, I mean, we need to go through it. There's not jumping over it, not going under it,
Mm-mm.
not going this way, that way. You need to go through it. Go through your
There's
resistance.
one door.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You can look
Yep,
and you can try, but there's one door.
yep.
So I
Mhm,
think I should add this because I've noticed that people seem to feel this way.
mhm,
He said that people feel alone because they've lost their faith and belief in their
mhm,
reality.
mhm.
So how can we regenerate ourselves and our beliefs?
Yeah, that's very profound because I think right here, right now in our society, communities, I mean, connecting with other people, connecting with that faith, whatever faith means to you, something that's tangible that you can believe in, but believing in yourself, I think it really comes back to source of yourself, of believing what's true for yourself and then connecting with other people that are similar or have the same beliefs and creating that structure for yourself. I think it's just so
Or at
important.
least have higher vibrations, I would say, or a strong love
Yeah.
vibration.
Yes, absolutely, and really honing in on that for yourself and to feel it and know it and
Hmm.
believe in it. And I think that's where the ripple effect starts happening. So, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I mean, some of these people may just need to completely reevaluate the way that they're projecting reality.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it goes back to what is true for you. Because, for years and years, it's like we're out. Oh, what's true? Oh, is that true? Oh, is this true? Oh, that person said this. Oh,
Oh, right
the
now we could say
congressman said
we
that.
have a whole nation like that.
Exactly. It's like look at politics. I don't go
Yeah.
down
We
that road.
won't go there.
But
No.
it's look at all, we're grabbing onto it's like grab onto yourself. What is
Mhm.
true for you? What is your belief structure? And if you have to tear it down and build it back up, so be it. Fantastic. You'll be a stronger and wiser person because of it. And it's okay. It's okay. Give yourself that permission, give that honor to yourself. It's just that's where the honor comes in. And that's the deep rooted foundation that is built upon, and that's your true self. I mean, connecting to your soul self is doing that, doing the work every
Hmm.
day and honoring yourself that much because you came in as this beautiful, pure soul. It took years to, scrape off it, all the
Yeah, no.
layers. It's like, no, 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 no. Go back to source, go
Well,
back
that's
to
where freedom
yourself.
really is.
Hmm. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's where freedom is. And we all
It
seem to
is.
want freedom, but people don't seem to realize that that's where the freedom comes.
Yep.
And I'll give you sort of a silly example. I have a 85-pound German Shepherd that I take with me everywhere. And we were
Oh,
talking about the grocery store.
yeah.
And that always makes me think, especially if I go in the afternoon when everyone has kids. I'll 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 pick up on their thoughts and I'll think,
Yeah.
well, things coming out of the store. I'll think, well, I could do that more easily if I didn't have the dog, or the dog is always in my way when I do this, and then I'll laugh because it's not even my thought. I'm projecting what they're thinking about their children onto my dog,
Yeah,
and the second
interesting.
you realize it, it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yep. Hmm. You see how fast that happens though? That's
Yeah,
how shifting energy and shifting thoughts can happen. I mean, it's just in that second. It's like, oh, and that's awareness. That's conscious awareness, right?
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Perfect example. Great story.
And it was really very helpful because I noticed how often I would think that it was because of this or because of that that I
Right.
couldn't achieve XYZ. And I thought, that may be a societal pattern. And
Yeah.
why would I want that?
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And you chose otherwise, right?
Yeah, I keep
I mean,
trying to choose otherwise.
but look how much you unraveled in just that second, It's just like,
Yeah,
wow, wow. You
I
know,
know. And then I thought, how
you
often
could
do
have
I
took
do
that
this?
down the road days and days and
I
Oh my
know.
gosh. So, but bravo, right? I
But
mean,
that's the freedom.
yes, that is freedom. And how many of us grab out of trying to, oh, that freedom's over there. Oh, freedom's over here. Oh, No, freedom's in
It's
here.
inside.
Yes, yes, I love that. That's wonderful.
So
Yep.
another thing that you discuss, and it's a really beautiful part of the book, is about nature and how nature
Mhm.
can help us get to our inner self.
Yes. So connecting with nature, walking in nature, running in nature, connecting with trees. I do a lot of work with tree transference, and it's just uh, there's a plethora of information that they will whisper to you. If you're really just, or even feeling, you can feel it. If you literally, it's not all about just hugging a tree. If you hold a tree, you start moving with the tree. I mean, all the roots are connected to all the other trees. You can feel it. You can feel the earth moving. It's amazing. And how many people are really connecting to that tree, right? I
Right.
mean, that right there will ground you in a moment and all of a sudden it's like you feel a part of everything. I mean, everything.
Hmm.
So that alone, that is a mind blower there. But, just walking in nature, noticing nature, noticing the beautiful flight patterns of birds. How
Right.
many birds are you seeing? What colors are they? What sounds are they, singing? All
Hmm.
of those, just those little, for me, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, "Ooh, what's that? What's that?" I was
Yeah.
the why kid growing up. Why?
Me
When
too.
I go out into nature, I'm not just absorbing all the beauty and the energy. I'm like, "Ooh, what's that? I wonder what that, I'm just asking myself these questions and going deeper in nature and how healing it is. How do I feel after I, am in a field and I've walked for, an hour? How do I feel afterwards? How do my feet feel? How does my head feel? So I'm
Because if you,
asking
if you
myself,
walk for an
yeah,
hour, everything in your body aligns with your heartbeat.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And, and just focusing in on, am I breathing shallow? Am I breathing more deeply? All of those things, you can just, oh, I'm getting chilled.
And every single place has its own incredible set of vibrations.
Yes,
And I was going
yes.
to give everyone a fun exercise that I do all the time. I have woods right behind my house, even though I live in a
Nice.
city. I'll think, where are the cardinals? And they'll start
Mhm.
talking. I'll think, I haven't seen the deer in a while. And they'll come down to the edge of the
I love
woods. Where did the young squirrels go? They'll come down. So when we're thinking about it, they feel it and they
that.
respond. And I think that's a sad thing that we've lost that knowledge of being able to do that.
Yes. And it's so true because when you can ask those questions and you can even just think about it. You can speak it
Hmm.
out loud or you can just think about it and they're there. I
Right.
love bluebirds, and oh, and Edgar loves bluebirds. The minute I go out and hike, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see bluebirds. All of a sudden, all the bluebirds are there. I'm like, whoop, but that's the vibration, right? You're creating your reality every step of the way with your thoughts, with your feelings, with everything, with
Plus,
your
they're
being.
thrilled that someone is excited to see them and they're not just a
100%.
bird.
Yes, absolutely. They're excited that they're being acknowledged and welcomed into your field, right? It's like,
Right.
yes, it's like an invite. You're inviting this amazement to come in and because it's already there already.
I know, but they don't always have viewers. And we know when someone appreciates what's beautiful about us, life is so much better. And all of
Yes.
nature is like that.
Yes.
It
Yes.
spends a lot of time waiting for us to notice, I think.
Yeah. And then when we notice, it's like, oh, and then we notice more and more and more and more. Like rainbows,
Yeah.
if you see one rainbow, you haven't
Mhm.
seen a rainbow forever. All of a sudden you're seeing 5, 6, 7 rainbows. It's like, wow, same thing, even with color. You see a certain color of a car, you see a red car. You haven't seen a red car in a long time. All of a sudden, you see tons of red cars.
Or
Same
whenever
thing.
you get a new car, you see it
Yeah.
everywhere
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you never noticed it before. It's like, oh my God, there
Exactly.
must be 50 of my car in the parking lot, but
Right.
I never saw
Right.
them before.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then that's sort of the way that all that works.
Yeah.
So, what is an experience that stands out with all of your journaling?
Oh, geez. There's many, but I would say one in particular, just trusting that deep trust and gratitude, shifting from I trust myself, I trust what is transpiring, and then I go into this deep, deep gratitude. It's just, and it's instantaneous now, but in the beginning, it was a struggle. It wasn't a cakewalk. It was a struggle. I went through some I not doubting and not trusting myself. And then I would be shown sign after sign after sign. It was like after the fifth sign, I'm like, okay, I got it.
Mhm.
Okay. But
You don't have to
sometimes
tell
we
me a
need that.
hundred
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like somebody tells you, 10 times the same thing, and then you hear it the 11th time, you're like,
Yeah.
but you weren't ready, and that's okay. So, even trusting that. So I think for me, just trusting this process, trusting what I was hearing, what I was seeing. And I think for me, the pivotal piece is when Edgar and Gladys would come in and, have me research something like an article, go find an article or go find this information. And then, it would present itself to me, or I'd go on the
It would be
internet.
validated.
It
I
would be
had that with the
validated.
wolves. They would tell me
Yeah.
things like, your grandmother will send you a check for $100. I was
Yep.
thinking,
And then
why?
it's
And there
there
it
and it's
would
like,
be.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't make that stuff up, and you didn't. I mean, you didn't write the check and mail it to yourself,
No, it was
right?
already
It's
in
like,
the
how did that
mail.
happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Or
yeah.
there's
How
an
did that
herb that
happen?
there's this particular herb that you've been looking for years. It grows on the backside of the mountain in this place. So you hike up there and there it is. Even though it doesn't
Exactly.
grow where you live, there it
Yep.
is. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, even with, meeting Gladys, because when I heard, when Gladys came in, I spelled her name wrong, Gladice, because I'm a horrible
Hmm.
speller. And so when I went to go research of like, who is Gladys, because right in the beginning of this, creating this book, I was like, who is this person? And Edgar's like, oh, say hi to Gladys. Oh, that's Gladys. Like, oh, you should know her. But I'm like, I don't know her. Well, who is this?
Hmm.
And, listening and then going through, my process of, okay, who is this person? And then finding the information on Gladys of who Gladys was. And that started solidifying, listening to what I was listening to and trusting it and keeping, keep on keeping on. It's like
Right.
going through that
Or that little
process.
voice that, that little part of you that's doubting it goes, well, it
Yeah,
must be real because this
right.
happened and that happened
Yes,
and then this and
yes.
this.
Yeah. And then, I mean, just really trusting more and more and more because,
You go between trusting and not trusting. Everybody
yeah,
does.
yeah. And I still do. And I'm like, oh, but now it's even clearer and clearer and clearer. It's like,
Right.
now it's like, okay, they're here. It's fine. It's all good. And they're here.
Yeah. So
There
let's
is
tell
no
our
doubt.
listeners where they can find your book
Mhm.
and how they can get in touch with you with questions or work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So on my website is tryinghealing.com. So you can find me there. You can find my book on amazon.com and all booksellers nationwide. And
Great.
yeah. And then and also I have a newsletter, so you can sign up on my newsletter and on my website. And yeah, I have a group starting now, so I'm going to be teaching all the exercises in the book. So that's really exciting. So that information will be on my website as well. So yeah.
Great. It's triunehealing.com.
Yeah, Trying Healing, TRINE healing.com.
Great. Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for being with us. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Thank you. This is
So
real fun. Oh, such a pleasure.
fun.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was fun.
So anyway, if you're listening, you can sign up for my biweekly newsletter on my website, onetrueself.com, onetrueself.com. You can receive tips about what's going on with the energy development on a personal level. Once a month, I write a message from the wolves, which is specifically for this audience. So you can read that. And we're going to have new classes that start in October. So stay tuned. And I'll be back in a couple weeks and I hope to see you then. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to the Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Julia Griffin to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Join us next time as Julia takes us deeper into the memory of the moments of light where transcendence and enlightenment emerge. The memory of the jewel of consciousness is always lived within you to tap into waves of energy and create huge changes by imagining the beauty of the vision and desires that are hidden in the heart. Learn to find your way back to nature, beauty, and your own heart, which holds the secrets of your existence and future. To discover more about Julia's adventures, animal communication, and the teachings she brings to every show, visit onetrueself.com. That's onetrueself.com. That's ONE, trueself.com.